Hi, welcome to the Revere Veterans Corner. Today, I'm Robert Dunbar, Executive Director of RevereTV, and we're doing a little role reversal here. I'm actually sitting here with Morris Morris, who is my guest on the Revere Veterans Corner. And we're going to talk a little bit to Morris about some of his activity with the veterans at the Senior Center, a little bit about Morris. So, first question, Morris, I have to ask you. Who is Morris Morris?
Well, Morris Morris is a man of 84 and a half years old, a veteran of World War II, was stationed in Germany and in Austria.
Okay.
Worked in the military intelligence service for 2.5, well, it was in the Army for 2 years, and worked for the State Department, but in the intelligence service for 2.5 years, where I was overseas, under the command of General Lucius D. Clay at that time, and the High Commissioner John J. McCloy. I went into the Army when I was 17, took my training at Fort Dix, New Jersey, was shipped overseas to Bremerhaven, then to Vienna, then to Berlin, and from there I traveled to Salzburg, Austria, Vienna, Austria, Saalfelden, Austria, interrogated ex-Nazis and displaced persons, which were known as DPWs at the time. When I got out, I got a job as a draftsman, which I worked all my life, doing drafting, making blueprints, until I retired and became a member of the Senior Center, which I'm still a member of the Senior Center, which I will be speaking shortly lately. I want to thank you for having me on here, and I would like to thank the Revere Veterans Service and the Revere Allied Veterans Council, which are also part of this. But before we start, I would like to do, an Operation Troop Support.
Fantastic.
Operation Troop Support does packages for the veterans from January the 1st to December the 31st all year long. They mail packages to our troops to keep them happy, to make the community happy. So if any of you have any donations that you wish to make, you can make it to the Revere Veterans Service at 249 Rear Broadway, which is the American Legion Building, or to 25 Winthrop Avenue, which is the Revere Senior Center. Now, another thing we do for the troops, which I like to show, is the woman make blankets for our troops overseas. You can see one of these right here. You can buy them at the Revere Senior Center, so they have lots of blankets. They need yarn to make the blankets, so if any of you people have extra yarn out there, please donate it to Miss Lois Diamond, care of the Revere Senior Center, 25 Winthrop Avenue, Revere. Thank you. For those seniors that do not come to the Revere Senior Center who are out there, and the Senior Center belongs to you because you pay taxes on it, I would like to give you a little about what they do there. They have good lunches. They show movies on Wednesday, but they also have the following exercises there, which I would like to do. They have Zumba classes there. They have ceramic classes there. They have hairdresser and manicure. They have a knitting group which does the blankets, and they're the ones that need the yarn. So, like I say, any yarn you can donate, greatly appreciated. They have a beginner's exercise there. They have bingo Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Wednesday, they have free movies. On the last Friday of the month, they do not have bingo. They also have a Shine program there. So if any of the seniors need help, call the Revere Senior Center, 781-286-8156, and they'll make an appointment for you. They have Chai Tai, or Tai Chai. I guess that's how you pronounce it. They also have watercolor classes, arts and crafts, bingo, movie of the week every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, and they have a bowling league there. So any of you seniors would like to join the bowling league, call the Revere Senior Center at 781-286-8156. Before we continue, I'd like to speak a little about Operation Troop Support, because we did that just recently. People think that Operation Troop Support is done just for certain holidays. Well, that's not true. They collect money and mail packages to our troops all year long. And we've gotten letters back that have been very, very good from NATO. We've gotten letters back from troops in Iraq, from troops in Afghanistan, from troops in Germany, because we do have troops stationed all over the world. We don't need a war to send a package. What we need is nice peace if we could get it. But we have our troops stationed all over the world. We send them cards during the holidays. We send them packages during the holidays. And we also make sure that they get any help that they need. Now, to the people of Revere who own businesses, I would like to say this. With the holidays that'll be coming up, if you're going to hire anybody, hire a vet, because it's a good bet to hire a veteran. They will do an excellent job for you, either part-time or full-time. So to get that information, you call the Revere Veteran Service, 781-286-8119, and Nick Boer, who's the director there, will be glad to help you.
Fantastic. Now, Morris, you were talking a little bit about your experiences in life and through the military and such, and I know the senior center.
Yep, I got to tell you something what happened. Many years ago, I came to the senior center. We're located downstairs in the American Legion. There was a beautiful lady there, and they had a phonograph and a cassette player, and I happened to have a cassette in my car. So I asked the young lady.
Well, that was going right to what I was going to ask you about, so go ahead.
Thank you. So I got the cassette. I went to the young lady and I said, "Is it okay if I play the music here?" And she says, "No one else does. You might as well do it."
Right,
so I
right.
did. I put it in. Some of the people came in and they heard the beautiful old-time music and they said, "Boy, that's good." So the lady came over to me and she says, "Are you coming tomorrow?" I says, "I'd like to." She says, "Well, you come tomorrow. Do you have any more music at home?" I says, "I have cassettes." At that time, CDs weren't even discovered.
Right.
So I got the cassettes plus the 8-tracks and some records, and I brought them in and I said to her, "Is it okay if I put these on for the folks here?" She said, "Be my guest." I put them on, the people liked it, and then it flourished from there on. I've also been doing things for the veterans, playing DJ music for them. Sometimes charging, sometimes not charging. At the senior center, I do the music an average of 3.5 to 4 hours a day.
Wow.
3, 4, 5 days a week, depending when I'm there.
Right.
Other times I'm out working for the veterans.
Right.
So that's
So,
keeps me busy.
so if you're on the fence about going to the senior center, now you know that if you go, you'll hear Morris doing his DJ action and playing a lot of fantastic music.
Yeah, to these seniors that are out there who are the age group of mine, like late 70s, early 80s, middle 80s, early 90s, we play all kinds of music there. The big band, the old-time crooners like Bing Crosby, Sinatra, Perry Como, whoever you like out there, if we don't have it, we'll get it to play for you. If you have a favorite song, you come down, you see me at the senior center. If I have the music, I'll be more than happy to put it on.
Great, and we're talking about the senior center, but we're also talking about the connection to the senior center to the veterans and to the military. And you just had an event recently that I think you'll be able to see on RevereTV. But maybe you can talk a little bit more about the actual the presentation and of the items.
I got to tell you something funny, because a few weeks ago I met John McCain, who was a prisoner of war in Hanoi at the Hanoi Hilton for 5 years. He asked the people, "Are there any World War II veterans?" There were 8 of us, but I was the only one that raised my hand, so he waved me over.
Yep.
When I went over, I said to the crowd, "Let's all sing for He's a Jolly Good Fellow." And we all sang to John McCain for He's a Jolly Good Fellow. When we got there, I said, "John, is it okay if I take a picture with you and the rest of the vets?" He says, "Sure." And then he whispered in my ear, he says, "Look, the next time you sing, let me know. I'll have the Army protect you." I didn't think he liked my singing.
Right. Well, and actually that brings up another point. Not only do you do everything that you do for the senior center, everything that you do for the veterans in the city of Revere, everything that you do as far as, again, with the music, you are also known as a bit of a jokester, and you seem to
once in a while I will tell a joke, but I want to make it perfectly clear.
Yes.
I'm a gopher. It's the people of Revere that helped me do what I do. If it wasn't for them,
absolutely,
doing the donations, doing the cards, doing the knitting.
Right. No, you're right. And every person is an important piece of that process.
Exactly.
And but you can't deny that you are one of those pieces, and you are kind of an important piece.
I'm one of the puzzles.
Yes.
And without all the pieces together, Bob,
I understand.
It wouldn't work.
Exactly. But do you have? Now, this program will probably air at all different times of the day. So, do you have a joke for us now that you think you could share with the audience here?
Yep. I got to tell you, well, it isn't a joke, but it came out to be funny.
Okay.
I have 2 jokes.
Okay.
One of them was Halloween.
Yes.
We just passed Halloween.
Yep.
So I went out trick or treat, spent 2.5 hours in the cold.
Yes.
Received nothing. I come home, empty-handed.
Right.
Then I realized I kept knocking on my own door all the time.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Right, okay.
That's what happens when you
Sure.
get to be 84, 85.
I understand, yeah.
The other one was, I was at the Immaculate Conception Church. They had a feast. So I sat down and I ordered 2 big hamburgers,
Yes.
big coleslaw, big potato salad, big French fries, big food, and a big bottle of soda.
Right.
That's why I'm so bloated.
Ah.
Anyway, as I'm eating, this homeless person came over to me, tapped me on the shoulder, looked over me, dressed in rags, shoes ripped too. He says, "Mister," he says, looking at the food, he says, "I haven't eaten in 3 days."
Yeah.
And I looked at him and says, "Boy, I wish I had your willpower." He laughed, but I did give him some of the food. After.
Sure, yeah.
I couldn't let him stop.
Right.
Then I realized it was my own father.
Rah. Well, you know.
You like those
I
little
do. Fantastic.
And by the way, I got into the Army at 17. At 18, I was voted the best soldier in the United States Army.
Now, is that true?
The second best soldier I was voted in the United States
Second
Army.
best soldier?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The reason for that was because all the others were tied for first.
No.
See that? Okay.
Well, at least you got something.
Okay. But people told me not to give up my day job when I told them.
Well, yeah. It's more of a hobby
When I
than
said-
that. You know, actually, and speaking about, do you want to talk a little bit more, kind of share a little bit of your experience? I mean, you
Yep, I would like to-
you were part of history in a sense. I mean, in a big sense. You know, there's a lot of focus when we look back at wars. When we look back at World War II, of course, we look back at all the battles and everything going on. But you know, there's a lot going on. Obviously, when a war ends too, and you know, if you want to talk a little bit about your war experience, but also about that transition period and that period, you know, when the war ends, that process.
I was in Berlin in 1948 as a soldier, not as a civilian, because I was there as a civilian too, but in 1948 as a soldier. The Soviet Union, because Berlin was divided up into 4 sectors, French, American, British, and the United States, they put on a blockade, which means nothing could be flown in, nothing could be taken in by railroad.
Right.
But we did fly things in because that's the only way we could break the blockade.
The Berlin airlift.
Right, exactly. When they flew into Tempelhof Air Base in Berlin, they had to fly between 2 houses. And I mean, the wingspan, if they, in those days it was a commercial plane that they used a lot. The wingspan on each side was only maybe 2 foot clear on each side of the building. So they had to maneuver exactly in. A lot of them, a few, not a lot, but a few didn't make it. As they were flying over the Tempelhof Air Base to land, they would drop chocolate out of the plane.
Oh.
And the German kids, who had nothing at that
Yeah,
time, would run there and grab him, and they would say, chocolate, this or that. That was one of the things there.
Right.
They shut the heat off at 11 o'clock at night during the blockade, the Russians did. So we were frozen in the wintertime unless we lived in a house that had a wood stove.
Right.
If you didn't have a wood stove, you covered yourself up with blankets.
Right.
That was one of the things. Then I went to work in Salzburg, Austria, which was right across the border from Munich. But before I went to Salzburg, I went up to Berchtesgaden, to the Wolf's Lair, to see where the guy with the mustache,
Yeah.
you know, Hitler.
Yeah. Yep.
Went to his house, went inside, looked around
Oh,
how
really?
he lived, which was very good. Big plate glass window. I mean, huge. I
Right.
would say it must have been about 15, 20 feet
Right.
across and maybe about 10 feet high.
Now, let me interrupt you one second. When you were doing this, was this obviously was part of the military investigation or
No,
recon,
this
or
was,
this, or was
like
it just
if I had a
open?
day off, I would
Okay,
go there.
so people could go to his
Oh, yeah.
house. Okay.
You could ride up the mountain
Okay.
to the Eagle's Nest, which
Okay.
is what they
Yep,
call it,
yep.
and do that.
Okay.
During the workday week, I would work in Salzburg, Austria, like I say, which was right across the river from Munich, interrogating DPWs.
Right.
People would come over to me and say, "Can you find my relative? Can you do this for me?" Because I spoke pretty good German.
Right.
I mean, I wasn't perfect German, but good enough to interrogate them. So I would say I would help them out. They would give me letters and addresses where they were, and I would send them back to my mother in New York, and she would put it in the Daily News or the
wow.
Journal or whatever paper they had. Well, one day, this lady gets a letter in Salzburg, Austria, that she has a relative in New York living in the Bronx. It happened to be one of the 3 sons' mothers. Then the 3 sons were a group that played music in those days,
Yep, yep.
back in the 40s. One of the mothers was a relative of us. So they wrote
Oh, wow.
back, and then when I came back to the camp, they thanked me for it.
Wow, fantastic.
But I would also like to thank someone else, too, if I may, at the Senior Center.
Sure.
I didn't realize that till this morning when I went in and I was looking at the program. The Revere Senior Center does a lot of good things, like I said before.
Absolutely, yeah.
They put a nice article right here about Operation Troop Support, right there.
Yeah, I see it.
And I like to read it.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Operation Troop Support. A donation of any amount would be greatly appreciated to help mail packages all year long to our troops overseas. Please make checks out to Operation Troop Support and mail to one of the addresses below. The Revere Allied Veterans Council, 249R Broadway, Revere, Mass. 02151, or to Operation Troop Support, care of Revere Senior Center, 25 Winthrop Avenue, Revere, Mass. 02151. And thank you for listening.
Fantastic. And I think that's, an important thing to remember. At this time of year, obviously, we put more emphasis on Operation Troop Support to try to get those things over there. But it doesn't end during the holiday season.
No.
And there are troops all over the world.
There's one thing here I would like to show you, Bob, if I could find it.
Sure.
There was a brown envelope I had. I think it's right here.
Sure.
Like I said, I attended a convention at Suffolk Downs this past June.
People saw that on RevereTV.
Right. We have people from all over the country, veterans from Washington,
Yep.
from Oklahoma, from Montana, from Texas, from East, West, North, South,
Right.
from Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands.
Right.
I spoke to them about what we do at the Revere Senior Center. I says, we do a lot.
Yes.
And they were good enough to put this article in here, Operation Troop Support.
Oh,
and
great.
this goes all over the country. This
Right.
is a bulletin that comes out of Washington State,
Right.
right here, in a town called Burien. I guess that's the name. Could you read that?
Well, yes, I actually, that's Burien. I used to live in
Burien,
Seattle, so that's
Washington.
Burien, Washington, yep.
Yep, that comes out of Washington State.
Yep.
So instead of him getting money just from the locals,
Right.
now it'll be coming from all over the country, which he said he has been getting a lot of.
Fantastic.
So that's good. But I would like to say one thing. What we do in Revere, I call Revere Ground Zero because all the good things start right here in
Absolutely.
Revere. They started our senior center. They started our veterans. They started our businesses. They started our community. And I would also like to say one thing, that we have a new mayor now.
Yes.
And I think he's doing a fabulous job in the city of Revere. And we hope to have him eventually come on and talk to us.
Absolutely.
And he can explain what he's doing for the veterans and the community.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Now, before we,
Yep.
do we still have time to say a few more things?
Absolutely.
What I would like to say is many years ago, there was a man, his name is Mr. Buka. I met him at the first time at Suffolk Downs, not this year that passed, a few years ago. He had a book of soldiers walking in Germany. And we were looking through the book, and I happened to see a picture that looked like me. And I asked him, I says, where did you get that picture? He says, no, they gave me that book. But the book was taken like in 1946, 47.
Right.
See, I got in at the end of the war. I did not see action, but I was 17 at the time.
Yep.
I tried to get in at 16. They wouldn't take you at 16. They
Right.
took you at 17. Now I guess the ages have been moved up to 18.
Yeah.
So he showed me the picture of the book. Now, my picture was never shown when they showed another thing at the Revere, Paul Revere School, which they had a fabulous show that was on Friday that just passed. They had the kids, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th grade, honoring veterans from Vietnam, Korea, World War II, Afghan. Boy, we got a lot of wars going
Yeah.
here. Iraq, Grenada. I hope I didn't miss any. They honored all the veteran services, the Merchant Marines,
Wow.
the Coast Guard, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force,
Oh, no, every year they do a fantastic job, big presentation of honoring all the troops.
and the Marines, of course. And there was a gentleman there who has a terrific voice. His name is Dan Clark. He sang God Bless America and the national anthem. I mean, the kids sang God Bless America. He sang the national anthem. Nobody could have done it any better than him.
Right.
So it was a pleasure to be there.
Oh, fantastic.
Also, the veterans, they go up and they help serve at the Soldiers' Home in Chelsea. We help them out.
Mm-hmm.
We make a lot of cards, and we send them cards. We drop them off. We give them to the colonel, who's in charge of Operation Troop Support. He mails it to our boys overseas, drops them off, and they love it.
Oh,
it makes them happy. They send a letter of thank you to him or to the senior center.
Mm-hmm.
So we really have a good time there.
Absolutely. There's always, at the senior center, there's always activities going on, and there's a lot of things where we're working with the veterans.
Right. Another thing at the senior center, which I forgot to mention, every last Thursday of the month, we have what is known as the, I believe it's the last, or the second Thursday of the month. We have the birthday parties to honor the people that were born on that particular month.
Sure.
So if you out there were born on a certain month, notify the senior center, and they will be glad to honor you on your birthday. You come in, you have a lunch for whatever it costs. Give us your name, and just come on and enjoy a good time there.
Fantastic. So, I mean, like I said, there's always actually we did a kind of little video overview of the senior center about a year ago, and I got to admit, actually, I was surprised at the amount of activities. We just went one day, and there was between the knitting and the bingo, and then there's a bocce ball area upstairs. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on there, and.
Oh yeah, we have people that, like I say, that go out. They play bocce upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
We also have what is known as the Council of Elder Affairs, where we get together the second Friday of the month under the director, Al Morelli, and we discuss things that are good for the senior center, or how we could help the senior center, or what the senior center needs.
Mm-hmm.
We do all that.
Right.
So, in other words, I'm a senior. The elders are there. They have somewhere to look forward to go to instead of staying home and being by themselves. They come out, they enjoy us. They play cards there in the morning when they come in early. They have coffee and a donut there for hardly any money at all, really.
Right.
Practically giving it away.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a good time there.
Right.
Like I say, we have the music there. Mm-hmm. We have the lunches there. We have the bingo there. We have the movies there.
And good company.
The company is the best of Revere because we have the community of Revere there.
Right.
We have the veterans helping the community, and the community helps the veterans. It's
Absolutely.
A junction of both together.
Absolutely. And with that, I think there's a lot of good information in this show. Now, am I talking to Morris and Norris? Because you have a brother, I understand, or there's a twin.
But we never together. That's the
whole
whole problem.
I understand. And for those people watching, your name is Morris.
And they come in and see me, they can call me by my first name.
Okay. Or your last name.
Or my last name. It makes no difference.
Well, great. Well, Morris, thank you for being on your own show as a guest.
And I thank you for having me, because I got to be honest, Bob.
Yeah.
You were the one that asked me to make the show. It wasn't my idea. It came directly from you and from the Revere Veterans Service.
Right.
So we want to thank you, and I want to thank you. So let me say, by finishing off, God bless the people of Revere, God bless our troops, and God bless the United States of America, and thank you for having me on your show, Bob.
Thank you.